Welcome to Hoardganize with professional organizer Rachel Seavey. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., Rachel shares her expertise and compassionate approach to help you deal with overwhelming clutter. Rachel?
Hey, collectors! Welcome to the Hoardganize Podcast. I'm your host, professional organizer Rachel Seavey. And this episode is something that I see quite frequently, and I haven't mentioned it on the podcast yet. This is what I'm just going to flat out call bags of shame. I'll let you take that in, bags of shame. Many of you have them, so you might immediately know what I'm talking about. Others might not have gone there yet, so they're not sure about what I'm talking about, but this episode definitely serves as fair warning. Bags of shame. I know that sounds unpleasant, but if it sounded cute and cuddly, we would never want to get rid of them, right? I believe the FlyLady likes to call what I'm calling bags of shame stash and dash. At least that's one of my clients told me recently. Oh, the bag of shame. It's the infamous bag full of stuff that got swept up because somebody was coming over. Have you had company come over and beforehand you just throw everything into a bag and then shove it into a closet? Maybe you use boxes instead of bags. You just sweep all of the clutter all around your house into a box and shove it somewhere so that you don't have to deal with it at that moment. Does this sound familiar to you, collectors? I really like the phrase dash and dash. And it totally makes a lot of sense to me. It rhymes. And I really do like the FlyLady a lot. However, this term is just a little too cutesy for me. Like I said, it makes you want to keep them. And it gives you a tad bit of permission to do so. Oh, well, I'm just dashing and dashing, and that's not so bad. Tee-hee. No. That method of clearing clutter really ends up holding you back from getting organized. I know it gives you the immediate illusion of organization, and that's what you desperately needed at that time. And all of your flat surfaces are now clear. However, really nothing that you've just done has been helpful. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're working backwards in your decluttering efforts because you're left with so many bags or boxes full of miscellaneous items that you need to sort through in the future. I remember on one job, we must have sorted a life's worth of miscellaneous bins. These were like the good sized plastic bins too. I mean, there must have been at least 70. So, and these were all completely miscellaneous. So you don't want to leave yourself with a bunch of miscellaneous items to sort through in the future. A lot of these items could have been easily put away. Perhaps you didn't leave yourself enough time to do so. So scheduling can always hold you back. But maybe these items don't have a home because all of your closets and cupboards are full to the brim. So these items stay in a holding pattern until there's room for them. Now, the holding pattern is a phrase that I came up with a client. It's things that are waiting to be put away because where they need to be put away is already full, like in an airport. So your stuff waits in a holding pattern until something is alleviated in the spot where it belongs. Sounds very complicated to me, collectors. I've seen people wait. Items have waited decades in the holding pattern. Storage units full of miscellaneous bags of shame. Garages, closets, under the beds packed with bags and boxes of shame. So this is definitely a trend amongst most of my clients, or at least a good portion of them. So I'm going to suspect it might be something to do with you, my listeners, as well. And as a pro, I'll tell you that going through miscellaneous bags and boxes and collections of all sorts of random things really takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of sorting effort. And while I've sorted thousands and I don't know bags and boxes and bins of shame, I do have I notice like a pattern, okay? So I notice that whatever that person is collecting, almost every single bag or bin is the same practically. Like perhaps you forgot you bought a chapstick and then you lost it and then you put it in a bag of shame and now every single bag of shame has like a brand new chapstick or it's only been used once. So I see things like, of course, makeup, but pens, lots of pens, highlighters, hand cream, post-it notes, mail, things that one might have out on their dining room table that get swept up in a hurry. So Andy Warhol used to do this, and he called them his time capsules. He would take a box and he would clear his desk and he'd put everything into a box. And I believe he labeled the box with a date or a number. But I mean, everything that was on his desk at that moment. This could be half eaten food. This could be wads of cash. It could be important paperwork. It's really whatever he was dealing with at that time of his life. He swept it into a box, labeled it, and put it into a storage vault. And so his time capsules actually sold for a lot of money at auction. So I wanted to share that with you because it's something that I find interesting. Would your time capsules, your bags of shame, sell for hundreds of thousands or possibly millions at an auction? I don't think so. So I think money and fame had something to do with that. Anyway, I've gone through thousands of people's time capsules and let me tell you, normally people don't end up keeping much of it. It really depends on like a time limit. If these bags or boxes are over 5 years, a lot of these items inside begin to deteriorate. Like chapstick does not look the same. Postage or post-it notes or tape doesn't stick as well as it should be. A lot of paints are dried up. A lot of, product has spoiled. So a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff inside is tossed. And so that I find interesting. But every single person has to go through the time capsules. I've met a couple people that haven't, but for the most part, everyone's dying to know if they haven't left something important behind. So I just want to know, if any of this sounds familiar. I do have some tips ahead. If you have a bunch of miscellaneous bags of shame, or you stash and dash, or create time capsules, I have all sorts of ideas and suggestions. So, I have 5 of them. So, number 1, go through each time capsule individually and sort each individual bag or box out by like item. I do not recommend getting multiple bags or boxes out unless they're just a few items in each one. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and leave yourself with a bunch of stuff out and end up merging those together. We like to call it churning. So go through each time capsule individually. I know this sounds grueling, but you sort it out by like items. I always sort out by room, which so it makes it easy. So if you have a chapstick or hand creams or 1,000 cuticle clippers and nail files, you put them all into a bathroom box. And you can have a box for a kitchen where your sauce packets or your plastic silverware or your condiments can be put away, whatever it is that got swept up away in your bags of shame. And pace yourself. Go through these time capsules individually, maybe one a week or one a month. Or if you're feeling super energetic, you can kick it up a notch, do one a day, maybe one an hour. It's really how you're feeling. So, 2, If you have a good amount, 2, schedule an entire day or weekend for sorting. Drink lots of coffee. I don't know. But if you don't have an overabundance or overwhelming amount of bags of shame, then schedule an entire day or half a day or a weekend or however long you think it'll take to just tackle them all. Take yourself a lunch break, maybe a couple of snack breaks, water breaks, bathroom breaks. Don't neglect yourself while you're doing this. Just make a commitment. Don't back out at the last minute. Look on your calendar and schedule that entire day right now. Number 3, perhaps you have items that are stuck in a holding pattern. Items that you do want to keep, but currently there's no room for. Keep them all together and group them by like item until you have time to clear that particular area so that you have those items when you do need to put them away and at least they're all in a like category. It's much easier to put things away when they're sorted out. And remember, if there isn't room for all of it, you need to edit, purge, let go, because you can't just magically cram all of these items into your existing space if there is no room. You have to be realistic. If it doesn't fit, it must acquit. That's one thing I like to say, get it out of there, You really have to be realistic with yourself and make room so that the items in the holding pattern can get put away so that you have a space to put things back where they belong. Tip number 4. Now, don't change the channel, but this is a scary one. Just throw it all away. Now, I've probably seen a handful, I don't know if I can count on 2 hands, of people actually do this method. And it's very brave. It's like ripping the bandage off. And if, honestly, if you haven't needed these items in over 5 years, you might actually want to try this method if you're gung-ho and you just want to get her done. Most likely anything with an animal byproduct of, food or makeup, condiments, they're all spoiled. And if anything urgent was in your mail, you've probably already dealt with it if it's over 5 years old. And you don't need to deal with it now. So be brave. If you know it's a bunch of unnecessary minutia and it's easier to just go ahead and throw them out, then rip off that Band-Aid, collectors. Put all of those items into a black garbage bag and throw them out. Just put them all in without opening them up and sorting. I know it's crazy, but you must not ever look back. Number 5, hire a professional organizer. I love professional organizers, not just because I am one. I do know a lot of professional organizers, and they just are the most amazing people in the whole wide world. Any trained professional organizer will be able to speed through the sorting process. They can help you sort things out by like item. They can keep you on track, keep you focused, help you go through your time capsules, help you create space and find permanent home for things so that there is no longer a holding pattern. I highly suggest hiring professional organizers. I hire my local professional organizers on my jobs all the time. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. These are some incredibly talented people. And, collectors, the idea of quickly cleaning up for guests is, when you're organized, it's not actually a long process. You just put things back where they belong. And if you don't have a lot of clutter, everything does have a definitive home. So putting things away before people come can actually be quite easy to do. And if you stash and dash your bags of shame, your time capsules, take some time this year to deal with them. It's a new year. take out your calendar, schedule decluttering time just for this, even if it is in a new year, even if you're listening to this in the middle of the year. Right now, today, make some time in the future to deal with your bags of shame. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. You can tackle one bag at a time. You can do 15 minutes at a time. This is not all or nothing. Allow yourself to get things done, collectors. Awesome, collectors. If you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, show me some love by clicking the thumbs up button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave a comment. I love hearing what you have to say. Until next time, collectors. And remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
This has been Hoardganize with Rachel Seavey. New episodes are available every Sunday at 6 p.m. and also on the Collector Care YouTube channel. Download Rachel's Affirmations for Collectors on iTunes or Amazon.com, or sign up for Rachel's blog at collectorcare.com and receive 7 tips for clutter-free living. Thanks for listening.